All right, so today you will be watching several videos created by licensing going over licensing rules. As part of those rules, we have to teach you about the rules section 7 through 24. There is one section that they don't have a video out at this time, and it is section 8. Section 8 is regarding background checks. If you're watching this video, you have already submitted your background check, so we're not going to go over all the lines that actually just tell you how to submit a background check, but we will go over this fact for you. Your background check is connected to the FBI database. If you are arrested, it will pop on your background check. As you do not have to renew your background check every year anymore. It simply is ongoing for as long as you are connected to a center. If something does come up, they will call the center. If you let us know something happened before they call the center, you are more likely to possibly be able to keep your job. If they call us first, there's nothing we can do to save you. So, just so you know, everybody who works at North Star Children's Center, including the owners, have all been background checked, and you can leave anybody who works here alone with children. We do not hire anybody under the age of 18 because they're not allowed to be left alone with children. And we do not have anybody on staff, the cook, the owners, the directors, everybody is background check and they are allowed to be left alone with children. All right. There are a couple of other things that they do go over with you, but we're going to cover them just really quickly so that you understand how North Star Children's Center does the rules that they're going to go over with you a little bit. Section 10, ratios and group sizes. This section is actually designed to protect the teachers from the administration. It's designed to make it so that we can't give you more children than you can actually handle. That being said, here at North Star Children's Center, we believe that the state ratios are high. And that means this. So we're going to quickly go over this a little bit. I'm hoping you can see this, but they will go over this in your videos. So the first thing that they're going to go over with is the fact that 1 teacher to 4 children if they are under the age of 23 months old. That means between the age of 23 months old and the age of 2, we have a 30-day window that we can transition them into the 2-year-old class. All right? But that means we can give you 4 toddlers, 4 babies. That being said, just so you know, they talk about group sizes. For toddlers or anybody under the age of 2, the group size maximum is 8 children. What that group size maximum means is it doesn't mean that I can give you 3 teachers and I can now have more than 8 children in a group because, right? What it means is that it doesn't matter how many teachers I put in the room. You cannot have more than 8 together, all right? This is very important because on the next page, what they don't always go over with you is what happens when we mix the age groups. Not every room is all 2-year-olds. In fact, few of our rooms are. So just so you know, these charts are actually posted on the bulletin boards in every single room right next to the door. All right? So you don't have all the brain power to memorize all of these charts. There's 3 pages worth of charts. So that being said, you will eventually have what we call a homeroom, the room that you will just naturally go to when you show up on a day and management doesn't tell you that they need you somewhere else, all right? I would suggest that you memorize that room's ratio. But for the most part, if we end up moving you to a different room, we don't expect you to know the ratio off the top of your head, which is why they are posted in every single room, all right? So just as an example, one of our rooms is our potty training room. This room has age 2 and 3-year-olds. So according to licensing, I can put 1 teacher who has 2 and 3-year-olds. They can have up to 6 2-year-olds and up to 9 3-year-olds, but they can have 10 children together. Now, really quickly, I want you to imagine the fact that I just gave you 10 children who are all potty training, and you're by yourself. For us, this ratio seems high. Licensing also does not take into account the fact that some of these 10 children may be on spectrum. They may be more difficult children than others. We have some children who are older than their age, and some children that are not. And that totally changes a room. If you have a room of 10 boys who are between the ages of 2 and 3 versus 10 girls, it is a different room. So that being said, here is the rule that we follow as far as ratio goes. You are never, ever allowed to go above your ratio rules. You are never allowed to have 11 2 and 3-year-olds. Okay? I don't care if 90% of them are 3. I don't care if none of them are on spectrum. And I don't care if you are a magical, wonderful person who can handle it. All right? Because if something bad happens in that moment, all of a sudden you can't handle it. If we're talking about the ratio of 4 toddlers or 4 babies to 1 teacher, if you're all out on the playground and you've got 6 kids and one of your teachers needs to go in and change a diaper, that's great. But you can't leave the other person with 5 toddlers. Even if they are a magical person who can handle 5 toddlers because they're all just running around and playing for a second, you cannot handle that many, okay? So one of 2 things needs to happen. Either you need to call somebody to come and help you watch the 5 children on the playground, or the person changing the diaper needs to take one of the other toddlers with them. Do not ever go above that ratio. I don't care how good of a teacher you are. All right? That being said, let's pretend you only have those 4 toddlers. 4 toddlers to just you. You can always call for help. Okay? Just because you're at ratio, just because you're below ratio, let's pretend you only have 2 toddlers. Okay? You are not going to get in trouble. You are not going to think bad of you if you call for help. Okay? We want the kids to be safe. We want you to be safe, and we don't need your stress level that high. So if something is going on where you need help, please call me. Okay, so hopefully we're clear on that rule. All right. Another part of this is the next section that we're going to go over very briefly. They will kind of cover it in your videos as well, but it's child supervision and security. So if a child is under the age of 4, or actually 4 and under, you have to be able to see and hear them. So what that means is that you can't just put your head in the hall because now your back's to the kids and you can't see them. You can't just jump out of the room for a second, all right? You can't leave to put something in the hall. You need to be able to see and hear your kids because these kids get hurt quickly. You turn your back to them and all of a sudden you have a problem really quick, all right? So make sure you can hear and see the kids at all times. That also means that when they're on the playground, you're on the playground. So here's a scenario that's going to happen to you. You, in your magical self, have 7 2 and 3-year-olds all to yourself, and they're potty training. So what you did was you got them all dressed up in their snowsuits and their boots and everything else, and you got them out on the playground, and they're very excited, and they're running in every direction, and now one of them has to go to the bathroom. You can't leave the 6 to take the one to the bathroom, and it's going to take you a while to round up all 7 of them and get them in the room and get the snowsuit off and get them on the toilet and everything else. And I will tell you right now, by the time you get all of that done, all the kids are crying because you made them come back inside. The kid peed themselves, and you're probably crying too because you're so frustrated. So do yourself a favor in that moment and use the other teachers. All of the doors on that side of the building go into a room where they have a tiny toilet in it. Knock on the door and send the 2-year-old in. They're going to help them go to the bathroom and send the 2-year-old back out to you. All of those rooms, they don't have choking hazards or anything like that, so you can absolutely send them into those rooms, all right? The rule here at North Star Children's Center is it doesn't matter what room you're in, and it doesn't matter who you're responsible for at the moment. You are responsible to help everybody. Why? It's very simple. Because it will make your life easier in the future. Because one day you will be that teacher on the playground with the 7 2-year-olds, and you'd really like a second hand at that moment. All right, so think of this place as karma. If you help somebody else out at that moment, they're going to help you out later. All right, so everybody takes care of everybody here, and it makes everybody's lives easier. All right, so but if they're if they're 4 or under, please make sure you can see and hear them. That means out on the toddler playground, make sure you're not sitting somewhere where you can't see the kids. It is an L shape. There is a blind spot. Make sure you're over where the shade is so you can see both sides of the L shape. Do not sit where you can't see both of the kids. All right, the last thing we need is for one of the toddlers to push the gate open and end up in the parking lot. All right, bad things would happen. Be aware that you are responsible for the safety of those children. All right, so if they're over 5, so 5 and older, you are expected to be able to hear them. That means if you are again on that playground and somebody needs to go to the bathroom, you can prop the door open, stay in the door jamb, and be able to hear the child that's in the bathroom and the children that are on the playground. That being said, as always, if you are feeling overwhelmed, if you feel like you can't watch both sections of the children, if the child has been in the bathroom for an extended period of time and you need to check on that child, you need help. So please use your walkie-talkie to call for help. You're going to learn through this training that, in all honesty, we expect you to call for help often, and that's okay. That's expected of you. There is nothing more important than the supervision and security of the children. To be dead honest, the rest of the things we do at the center is what we consider fluff. So by fluff, we mean that we want to teach them the ABCs. Their 1, 2, 3s, their colors, patterns, science, all of this stuff is great. All right? But it doesn't really matter if they're dead. So there is absolutely nothing more important at this moment than their safety. So there is a licensing rule that goes over the fact that when the children are all asleep, or actually, according to licensing, just in a restful state, you are able to double your ratio rules. Please keep in mind, North Star Children's Center does not like this rule. We use it in the worst case scenarios in order for you guys to get your lunches, but please make sure that your children are not just in a restful state, they are all asleep. Also, please make sure that management knows that your counterpart is in that type of a situation. Because guaranteed, when you leave to go to lunch, those kids will now start to wake up. And I'm going to have to find another teacher for her really, really quick. So we need to know if you're in that type of a situation so that we can make sure that the kids and the teachers are all safe. All right? It's also important, one of the other rules that they go over is the fact that you cannot have a blanket over a sleeping device so that you cannot view the child. The only place that this really comes into effect is in the baby room. Some of our parents bring multiple blankets because they know that their children spit up and poop and do all kinds of things on their blankets. So they'll bring us multiple blankets. Some of our teachers leave them over the different cribs so that they can easily identify whose blanket is whose. This is fine as long as there is not a child sleeping in that crib. All right, so if a child is sleeping in that crib, they get one blanket over them or around them or whatever you're using the blanket for, but no other blankets are resting over the crib so that you can view the children at all times. All right. There are other rules in here that go over things like when cameras are used to watch sleeping children. We don't do that here at the center. The camera in your room is not considered a person. You cannot leave them just because they're all asleep. All right? Okay, the last section we're going to go over really quick is playground equipment. They kind of go over playground equipment in detail of how big your use zones and everything are going to have to be. Keep aware that at our center, we use padded AstroTurf, so you don't have to worry about how deep the padding is and everything. What you do have to worry about is whether or not the equipment is moved. Please do not move little houses or any other equipment onto the padded AstroTurf. You will be impeding on a use zone of one of the larger pieces of equipment. Please know that on the toddler playground, those slides are supposed to be 3 feet apart. That means 3 feet from the sides of the padded AstroTurf and 3 feet away from everything else, including fences and the little lawn mowers that we use and everything else out there, okay? You need to make sure that those things stay off the padded AstroTurf as much as possible so that we don't impede use zones. Use zones are used so that the kids don't get hurt on the playground, okay? So when they're on the playground, they are far more likely to get hurt than they are when they're in the classroom. So make sure your eyes are on the kids. So there are a few things in connection with the playgrounds. First of all, if birds poop on the playground, you get to grab a paper towel and clean this up. If mushrooms are growing on the playground, we expect you to, again, grab a paper towel, make sure that they get picked. If there is a weed on the playground, we usually call it stinging nettle. Looks like big, long leaves, and they're fuzzy, okay? So a little bit like a dandelion leaf, but they're super fuzzy. Those fuzz, they are tiny little needles that will embed in your hand. Please don't touch them. In this case, don't pick them. Pick up your walkie-talkie, tell me you think you have stinging nettle on the playground. We will come pull it out by the root and spray it so it doesn't grow back. If there are wasps' nests growing on the playgrounds, wasps love the playgrounds, so make sure you let us know as soon as possible so we can come spray those wasps' nests and get rid of them. If you find something on the playground that is sharp, that you think could hurt the kids in any way, if there's a piece of equipment that is breaking or coming loose, please let us know as soon as possible so we can get those fixed. As we've stated before, there is nothing more important to us than the safety of the kids, all right? If you have any other questions about these licensing items, please let us know. We are happy to go over our licensing rules and make sure that we're following them in every way, shape, and form that we can. We do not ever intentionally break a licensing rule. We may go above and beyond licensing rules, but we never ever go below them. All right? So if you have any questions, please let us know.